الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم ما بعد. This is the part 3 of Imam Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala, his advice to Ahlul Sunnah from amongst the Jinn. Ahlul Sunnah from amongst the Jinn. And the beginning, the shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala he mentioned the hadith we mentioned as a review. He mentioned the hadith of Jarir ibn Abdullah, which comes in the Sahihain. Sahihain meaning the Sahih of both Bukhari and Muslim, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received bay'ah. With Jarir, he said, bay'atu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ala إقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة ونصح كل مسلم أو كما قال, said that I made the pledge to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I would establish the salah and pay the zakah, and that given a sincere advice, given nus, is accompanying upon me to every Muslim, meaning that every Muslim can be helped, every Muslim can be reminded, every Muslim can be defended when harmed, every Muslim can be directed towards something good, every Muslim can be corrected, every Muslim can receive a nus. This is the general term of nus, which from that you get nasiha. And then the shaykh, he quoted the hadith which comes in the Sahih of Muslim from Tamim ad-Darimi, where he mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ad-din al-nasiha. Thalathatan, 3 times the Prophet said the deen is nasiha. And then they said, to whom, O Rasulullah? قالوا لمن يا رسول الله قالوا لمن يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. They said, to whom is this deen nasiha to? And the Prophet he said, lillahi, to Allah, wa li kitabihi, to his book, wa li rasulihi, to his messenger, wa a'immatul muslimin, and the leaders of the Muslims, wa ammatihim, and the common folk from amongst them. Here the nasiha, the shaykh has mentioned this hadith along with the nusli kulli muslim from the first hadith to show this is the reason and the basis he's going to give a nasiha to the jinn. And the shaykh, he mentioned that the jinn, they are barakallahu fikum, those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned إِنَّا مِنْهُمْ صَالِحُونَ وَمِنْهُمْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ. Verily from amongst them are those that are salih, yani righteous, and there are those that are other than that, meaning they are not righteous. And the shaykh also mentioned from Surah To The Jinn, وَإِنَّ مِنْهُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ وَمِنْهُمْ قَاسِتُونَ. Naam. And from amongst them are those who have accepted Islam, they're Muslim, and those that are disbelievers. And the statement of Allah, فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ, or whosoever accepts Islam, تَحَرَّى رَشَدًا. Naam, then he has investigated and chose that which is guidance. Naam. So the shaykh, he's establishing that just as the human beings are Muslim and non-Muslim, so does the evidence point and prove that about the jinn. And the shaykh, he quoted the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning them when they said, قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا نَفْرٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا excuse me. Where the shaykh quotes from To The Jinn, قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا نَفْرٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَقَالُوا إِنَّا سَمِعْنَا قُرْآنًا عَجَبًا. That the Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, it has been revealed to me that a group from amongst the jinn, they said, indeed, we hear a magnificent recitation, meaning they were listening to the recitation of the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran. They say, Yahdi ila al-rushdi fa'amanna bih. Their recitation of the Quran, it guides to that which is guidance, and we believe in it. Now, and Shaykh quoted the likes of these verses to establish that the jinn were from amongst those who are Muslim and non-Muslim. Therefore, the advice, as the Prophet ﷺ said, ad-din al-nasiha, the advice is to those in the religion, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the people of knowledge and the common folk, and this includes the jinn. So the Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that, and he also mentioned the Shaykh also mentioned that one time the Prophet ﷺ was in the valley, the Wadi, being in Mecca or Ta'if, between Mecca and the city of Ta'if, and the Prophet ﷺ was reading the Quran, and the jinns gathered to hear the Quran. The Prophet was reciting the Quran to his companions. And the Shaykh, he also mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, and I translated this wrong in the part 2 section, Allah musta'an. I went back and reviewed. The Shaykh, he mentioned al-Ma'adhan, as he was talking about Muhammad Rashid Rida. Muhammad Rashid Rida, one of the people that wrote a book that has Inkar al-Wujud al-Jinn, that he denies the existence of the jinn. And he was talking about the Mu'tazila, the deviant group, and the likes of those who deny that the jinns can interact with people, or the jinns can have an effect on people, or that they can have authority, possess people, and like this. So the Shaykh was talking about the issue of the one who says that the jinn cannot talbisa ala insan, that they cannot deceive the human being or come in the form of a human being or act as if they are humans or speak like humans and the such. And so the Shaykh, he said that you may find the jinn, he does not read the Quran, he has not memorized anything of the Quran, but that same jinn, you'll find he'll read some Quran. And the Shaykh is talking about, like, when you have them, when you're doing ruqyah, sometimes you get the jinn to do things, to say things, to submit. And sometimes you hear the jinn reciting the Quran, while that jinn never learned any Quran. So how is he reciting the Quran? He's reciting the Quran to deceive the people, to make the people think that he's righteous, where he might be a Christian or a Jew or atheist jinn. He will read the Quran to show you that I'm good, or like this. And And this is what the shaykh is explaining. And the shaykh said, likewise, you'll find the jinn, he does not speak English. He does not speak Inglesia, English language. But you'll find him speaking English, meaning to trick, to deceive the people, speaking English. And likewise, you'll find one does not speak the language of the Turks, the Turkish language, but you'll find him at times speaking the language of the Turks. So what does this prove? This means that they can interact with people. They can, if they're deceiving people or doing things to make the people understand something or believe something or to fool the people, then this shows that they're interacting with the people. And this was one of the points the shaykh mentioned. I think I mistranslated it. I'm pretty sure I didn't do the best job. Wallahu musta'an. And likewise, the shaykh also, rahimahullah ta'ala, Imam Muqbil, he was talking about the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, where he was talking about the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Allahumma salli barik ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Okay, let's go back. He was talking about the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, where the lady, she came and she said, "O Messenger of Allah, I have this fit of epilepsies. I have seizures. And when this happens to me, I become sick and I go into convulsions and I undress. And my aura is shown. I'm unclothed. So make dua, ask Allah to heal me so this doesn't happen." So the Prophet said, if you want, I can make dua for you, or you can be patient with this test, and that being patient with this test from Allah, this trial, will earn you Jannah. The shaykh quoted that hadith, barakallahu fikum, to prove that this is the interaction of the jinn with the human being. This is the actual effect of the jinn, or the overwhelming power of the jinn versus the human being. As many of the scholars mentioned that the seizures and epilepsies are directly from the shaitan. Although there's a medical side we mentioned before, or maybe something clinical sometime that people say has nothing to do with the jinn, many of the scholars argue that's the opposite. And this the shaykh has mentioned this point to show it as a delil that the jinns do have some effect or some type of authority or some interaction with the human being. He also mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, that some of the people like the Mu'tazila, which is one of the first deviant groups of the Muslims, that reject the fact that jinns can interact, have an effect, possess, or have authority over humans. He said to begin with, they firstly deny the existence, the total existence of the jinn, where they said that the jinn is a fiery disposition in man, or when he becomes out of control or angry like this. So if they're going to do that, then of course they're going to deny that the jinn can do this and do that if they deny the existence. And he mentioned another proof against them. The ayah Surah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentioned الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقومون الذين يتخبطوا الشيطان من المس. That the one that involves himself in riba, then wallahu musta'an, he has been affected or has been overcome or taken over, just like the one who's been taken over when the devil touches him, possesses him, like this. And the shaykh, he also mentioned the hadith, which is in the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, and it's authentic, where he said, everyone that's born, no one will be born except that the shaitan will prick at him, have an effect on that person as a baby, except Isa and his mother. And he quoted the verse of Surah Al Imran wa Tabarak wa Ta'ala, mentioned the dua of Maryam's mother for her, where she said, وَإِنِّي أَعِيدُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, that I ask you, I seek refuge in you, O Allah, for her to be protected and her offspring from the cursed shaitan. So this shows the opposite of what these people they claim, that the jinns, the shayateen, the jinns, they cannot affect, possess, have authority, or touch the human beings. The Shaykh also mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, Muqbil, that they like to use the statement of Allah, laysa inna laysa laka inna laysa inna laysa ala al-ibadi laka sultana, or statement of Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that verily you have no power over my servants. But here the Shaykh said this doesn't mean that they don't have any power absolutely. It's not that they don't have any power, but that if a person remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he stays in the protection of Allah, then that person will not be able to be overcome by the jinn. They will not be able to be affected by the jinn if they are in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Shaykh also mentioned that the jinns, they were from different sects, just like the human beings are from different sects, as the humans are from Ahlul Sunnah, some of them are Sufi, some of them Barakallahu Fikum are Shi'i, or some of them are Hizbi, which means they are groups and sects, partisanship. Then the jinns are like that too. And that the jinns, they are like that of the human beings. Whatever the human beings have and do, then they are similar to them in that. And the Shaykh also mentioned, Barakallahu Fikum, the Prophet also mentioned advice to them. The Shaykh mentioned that they used to come to the Prophet for their disputes. The jinns themselves, they have dispute, they would go to the Prophet. The Prophet would dissolve the dispute, and they also would go to the Prophet and need to sit and listen to the Quran being recited, showing all of this being the reason the jinns, they need nasiha, because they are like the humans, and just as nasiha is to the humans, then it is to the species of the jinn, which they are a type of species that are similar to the human being.
يخالف الواقع نعم، يخالف الواقع ويخالف أيضا الدليل الذي سمعتموه. والنبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يقول كما في حديث أبي هريرة المتفق عليه: ما من مولود يولد إلا والشيطان يطعن في خاصرته فيصيح إلا مريم وابنها. ثم قرأ النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم قوله تعالى: إني أعيذها بك وذريتها من الشيطان الرجيم.
So the Shaykh, he mentioned that those people, as we were just reviewing, those people that they make inkar, meaning they reject and deny that the jinns can interact with the people. They have at times authority over people, they have effect over people, that they could come in the form of people. that they could disguise themselves as people or even deceive the people. Then the shaykh, he says, they not only oppose all of the evidence that we've been quoting, but they oppose the reality. They oppose the evidence and that which is really a true reality. He said, and this is the statement of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, that they not only oppose the dalil, but they oppose two things. يعني يخالفون الواقع والأدلة متكثرة. They oppose the reality, that which really occurs and that which is factual, and they oppose that which is abundance of evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. And one of the evidence he mentioned from the Quran and the Sunnah is that hadith that he just mentioned. We said before about one, which is in the Bukhari Muslim, when a person is born, Prophet ﷺ, he said that there's no one that's born except that the shaitan pricks that baby, except Isa and his mother. And the mother of Mary, she made the dua for Maryam and Ali Imran, and this is why that was the case. Now, this is why that was the case, because of her dua. And Al-Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentioned prior to that, in Allah astafa Adam wa Nuhan wa Ali Ibrahim wa Ali Imran ala al-alamin. And that Allah has chose to give special virtue and blessing to Adam, Noah, Ali Imran, and them over the rest of the people. So they have a virtue, they have a gift over the rest of the people, and this is one of them, that Isa and his mother were the exception. Everyone else, the shaitan, the Prophet mentioned, will have an effect or prick over them at the time of birth.
المعتزلة قبل هذا الفلاسفة ينكرون وجود الجن، وقد انزلق محمد رشيد رضا انزلق في هذا وقال إن الجن عبارة عن الجراثيم. وسبحان الله، عبارة عن الجراثيم. نعم، قال ما ترى سميت جن، ما ترى لأنها ما ترى إلا بالمكفر. من أجل ماذا؟ من أجل أن يوافق المستشرقين من أعداء الإسلام الذين لا يؤمنون إلا بالمحسوسات. هؤلاء الفلاسفة هم الذين أنكروا وجود الجن أصلا، وتبعهم من تبعهم من أطرافهم. وماذا بعد ذلك أيضا المعتزلة أنكروا تسلط الجن، لم ينكروا الجن. وهناك كتاب في الواقع أنه كتاب قيم بعنوان صيحة الحق، بعنوان صيحة الحق. ماذا لرجل يقال له درويش تكلم على التوحيد ولكنه زائق أيضا، وأنكر أن يتلبس الجني بالإنسي. كيف تنكر يا مسكين؟ ورب مصروع لا يحفظ القرآن وتجده يقرأ القرآن، ورب مصروع لا يحسن اللغة الإنجليزية وتجده يتكلم باللغة الإنجليزية، ورب مصروع لا يحسن اللغة التركية فتجده يتكلم باللغة التركية. وهكذا أيضا أمر محسوس، وأنت تزعم أن هذا لا يكون، وتستدل بماذا؟ إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان، ليس له عليهم سلطان في الإغواء. أما في مسألة الصرح لها علاج، وهي مسألة الأذكار. نعم، مسألة الأذكار. بقي هل الجن يعلمون الغيب؟
So the shaykh, he quoted the ayah where he said they tried to use this as a proof that the jinn have no power or effect over the humans, where Allah said, Inna laysa laka Inna laysa laka well, Tabarak wa Ta'ala, he said, Inna laysa laka ibadi sultana, that you have no, verily have no authority over my servants. He said this here, the ilaj for this, the thing that makes this applicable is the adhkar. So if a person stays in adhkar, then this is when this part of the verse applies. But if you don't stay in the adhkar, meaning to remember Allah in your heart, in your tongue, with your body parts, to withdraw from things that are haram, to refrain from things that are haram, to have good speech, to have good character, to have good thoughts, to read the Quran much, to stay away from vain talk, vain speech, and desiring the likes of following desires. Then if a person does all of that, then this part of the verse becomes applicable. They will not have any ability, authority, or effect on you. But if you lack in that, then this is when they have the upper hand, as a person loses the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what the Shaykh just mentioned, we already translated prior.
أو لا يعلمون الغيب الجن لا يعلمون الغيب كما يقول ربنا عز وجل في شأن سليمان فلما قضينا عليه الموت ما دلهم على موته إلا دابة الأرض تأكل من ساعته. طيب لما خر تبينت الجن أن لو كانوا يعلمون الغيب ما لبثوا في العذاب المهين. نعم، ماذا إخواني في الله؟ فهم لا يعلمون الغيب. والآن نرجع إلى النصيحة التي هي خاصة بإخواننا الجن من أهل السنة. وقد يكون هناك جنيون من أهل السنة وهم جهال، كما يوجد من أهل السنة بين أظهرنا من هو جاهل ما شاء الله يعفو اللحية وماذا، وكذلك أيضا يبص الشارب ويضرب العمامة ولا يعرف عن السنة شيئا. فماذا يا إخواننا؟
So the Shaykh, he says, as we stopped at this point, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, for the salah and madrus akr and other lessons that we have, the Shaykh, he said, so after all of this introductory talk that the Shaykh has given about the jinn, now he's going to do the object of his discussion, give the nasiha to the jinn. He said, and that's because the jinn, although they could be from Ahlul Sunnah, they can be ignorant. Just like the humans from Ahlul Sunnah, they're ignorant. You can find the individual, he's from Ahlul Sunnah, he has grown his beard, mashallah. This is a good thing, but he's ignorant. He doesn't know anything other than the lihya. Or qas al-sharib, he trims the mustache, but he doesn't know anything about the sunnah. Or he wears a amama, the head covering, but he doesn't know anything about the sunnah. Thus the Shaykh is going to give his advice to the jinn. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يتوفق ماذا نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يتوفنا مسلما سالما من الغش والعيوب والبدع والانحراف والكفر والشرك. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرحم شيخنا إمامنا إمام الوالعي رحمه الله تعالى خيرا. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يكتب لنا أن يكتب لنا حسنات على ميزاننا يوم القيامة. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Anything I said of good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything of mistake is from myself or the shaitan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from that. We ask Allah to make us from those who die upon correct Islam, and our actions, our creed, our deeds, and all of that which gives us a good ending, and to protect us from every wicked and evil thing, every issue of deviation, bid'ah, kufr, disbelief, shirk, the likes. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give our shaykh a goodly reward and to write it as a deed on our scale yawm al-qiyamah. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا.